when you feel that you have discovered the actual counts of all the items, you want to print a final variance report. So again, frozen actual counts variance, include the uncounted items, print the variances for the uncounted items, and print the non-zero variances. And in this case, you're going to leave this at 0 and 0 because you want all these variances. Preview this. I save it to disk. Again, I told you I'm a data hoard. So I'm going to save it to list. I'm going to save it to my, I'm going to save it to my C drive, to my counts. I should have put that as a quick access here. And now this is my final variance. There are other things that your accounting department may require for you to do. One of them may be that they just want to see the actual counts. You can do that. You can see what those actual counts are, and it will give you a list of those actual counts. So here we go. All right, so we've gotten through my counts. We've gotten all our counts recorded in Counterpoint. We've gotten through the variance list, and we've gotten our variances that we recounted, recorded, and taken care of. And now I have a variance report that is accurate and hopefully one I can live with. So we're going to post everything all together. In my physical count post, there we go. All right. Here, I can set my location. If I'm doing multiple locations, I probably want to deal with one at a time for the posting and the re-entries and the recounts. Posting date. You can check the box to use the freeze date. I am a little bit more controlling than that, so I always put in the date that I counted. So it could be a week before I'm ready to do this. Put in the date that you counted. You're not going to have your store closed for the whole week, sorry. But you may have to do your recounts. It may take time depending on what you have out there. I'm going to leave the document number as physical count. It's fine. And then your decisions here for uncounted items. This is important. It always defaults to skip. And what skip says is, I'm not done with those counts yet, but you can post everything else that I have counted. The uncounted items, not quite ready, leave them in my tables. Assume the quantity on hand is correct. Well, this is saying, well, it's not counted, but you know what? I'm going to let it go. I'm going to assume that everything is right in Counterpoint if I didn't count it. So yeah, take it off the list. I'm done dealing with it. Post everything else. And then here, this is actually probably the one that's most important. Assume the quantity counted is 0. So again, we're talking about the uncounted items. This one is going to reassign your quantity on hand for an uncounted item for whatever value is in there now, positive or negative, going to create that adjustment to make it 0. I didn't count any. I want Counterpoint to force that into 0 by using an adjustment. So this is the one that you most often will use so that all of those uncounted items do end up being 0. Now, just to be clear, your posting is still posting the variance against your frozen physical count transaction. So at this point, your store could have been open and your quantity on hand could have been changed by this point when you're doing your posting. And that's okay because I'm still managing this adjustment against what I froze on the day of the count, not what I have today. So I'm going to pick post. It's going through my posting routine. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's going to 0. It's going to look ugly, let me tell you. There is a journal that goes with this. Physical count journal. I always set this to preview because, again, I keep telling you, I love data, so I am going to export this as well and say, okay, and go into my all pages, and I am going to here call this my journal, counted. So I'm going to save that. Your count journal tells you all of the counts, what you had on hand, the variances, and at the bottom, it has, and I should have showed you this on the edit list too, it has a bottom. This is, top row is your totals. So my counted quantities, my quantity variance, my value of variance. These next two rows are more detailed, as in, what do I have that was over counted? What did I have that was short counted? So this is not something I ever expect anybody to see, this large a cost variance. And probably you would restart everything all over again if you had something that large. And finally, what I would recommend is under inventory reports, you run your valuation report again. And again, you're going to set it, if you're doing a cycle count, for those same filters, and you're going to set it for the same location. And I'm going to preview this. And again, I save a copy of it. Now, some of this, if you have, see, I haven't really been showing you this. See this date range here? You could print out the last page for your, just, you know, for your files, if you really wanted a paper copy of something, to run the whole list. Again, some of you have some extensive item, have an extensive item list. Printing the whole list isn't really necessary unless it's required by your accounting team or your finance team or, you know, the board, whoever's out there. I'm going to say okay, though. And again, I'm just going to go, now this is the valuation report after final count. So now I have the before, I have the journal, I have the after, so everything should tie out. I could also email this if I have my email set up. I could email this out to my accounting department or the interested parties and what the final count is. I'm going to close that as well. The difference between, you know, the full physical count, you're still going to, and a cycle count, is you're still going to prepare your inventory. You're still going to, if you're doing pre-counts, pre-count your storage areas for just those items that you're planning to count. Here is where the difference is in your physical count create. You're going to choose, you know, a category, a subcategory. I'm going to right click here. You could set up an attribute that is your, over here. You can set up an attribute that you use for this profile, and say that, you know, alpha profile has to equal something, something, something. Basically what you're doing, and the reason I bring up attributes and profiles is because some people actually do plan out a cycle count for every month.